If that's the most comfortable way for you to end the call, that's perfectly acceptable. Me, I'm the type of person that I'll never forget one of my sales calls. I had just raised the price of what was Lean on Laurel, and her name was Barb. She was in Dallas. Anthony probably remembers Barb. And I had just done the free call, and I was about to hang up, and she's like, Laurel. I'm like, what? She's like, what's the offer? How much? I was just gonna get off the phone, and she's literally was like screaming, Laurel. That's what we. But that's just me. That's my personality.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean to be your personality.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Who's been the worst speaker so far? Is it Nick or what?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's usually the complaints I hear. Well, for those of you I've not met, nice to meet you. So we haven't officially hugged or kissed or anything. Can I be of service in any way?
We were just talking about closing sales calls. I'm pretty sure that you've got plenty of experience in something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe likes to use a lot of scarcity, and fear, and hard sell people, dig for pain.
So you're talking. Is there
Threaten
a
their
mic?
families.
Is there a mic?
Yeah.
Are you recording this? Yeah. So you're talking about doing sales right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, look, if someone wants to be a hardcore closer, I am not the best one to do that because people love to be sold. They hate to be pressured. And there are certain selling situations where it requires pressure and it requires, but those are things I don't put myself in those positions because first off, I think the best way to sell somebody something is to do good marketing, which is selling in advance. That's what marketing is. So if you do your marketing well by what you put in front of somebody, because what marketing is anything that you put in front of somebody is marketing. And if only the hungriest fish are going to snap at the crappiest bait, right? So if you put, nothing useful in front of somebody, then you have to rely more on manual marketing, which is what selling is. Selling is manual marketing. But there's a time and a place where we all have to sell. As a matter of fact, everything we do all day long is selling. Like everything. Because everything that I say, you say, anyone says is either going to attract someone or it's going to repel someone. And some of effective selling is knowing who to repel and who to attract. And when I say repel, I don't mean it in the context of offending somebody or being obnoxious, even though sometimes that could be the case. Because there is a lot to be said about takeaway selling. People tend to want what they can't have. It's the Adam and Eve principle. You can have any apple from any tree except that one. In human natures, humans want what they can't have. So that's where scarcity, that's where exclusivity, but doing it sincerely and not bullshitting, I think is the very best way long-term to do it. You may lose out on some sales if you don't apply certain levels of pressure or whatever sort of mental stuff that you can do to engage people. But I think coming from a place of it's your best friend, you really care about them, how would you treat someone that you really cared about? You would not put them into something or say things to them in a certain way. So I think it's just a good policy. If you're, it depends on the situation. And by the way, I'm happy to role play on anything that someone's selling to say, here's what I have, I'll give you, not that I'll give you good advice, but I'll try. But think of it this way, and write this down. This is actually a good way to think about selling. There's a video that's online that it was shot in this room when this room used to have two offices right here, and we used to have the front area over here. It was back in probably 2010, and I was being filmed for a documentary that was like an anti-secret movie, because it was, and I can't remember what they called it, but it was B-roll footage, and they wanted me to talk shit about the law of attraction. I'm like, well, I'm not going to really do that, because I understand The Secret. I know the guy that did all the marketing for The Secret. He called himself Mr. Universe. He actually lives in Tucson, and he said, because they would go on Oprah in different talk shows, and they would say, how did The Secret become so big? And then the people that made it would say, well, the universe did. He's like, well, no, the universe didn't do this. It was marketing that did it. So he started calling himself Mr. Universe. But they asked me the question, is selling evil? And then I went on this little riff about, is selling evil? So if you type in, is selling evil into Google, you can watch that video. It's like done years ago, but I still had hair and stuff back then a little bit. But what I say in the video is that my favorite definition of selling was given to me by Dan Sullivan. So this is what I want you to write down. My favorite definition of selling is from Dan Sullivan, and he said, selling is getting someone intellectually engaged. I'll say this several times. Getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result. Getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result that's good for them. So getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result that's good for them, and getting them to emotionally commit, to take action to achieve that result. I probably should have just wrote it down here since if I was a better person, I would. Eunice, you have amazing handwriting. Can you write it down for me, please?
Re-articulate that
Yeah,
one more time.
I'll say it one more time, yeah. Definition of selling is getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result that's good for them, and getting them to emotionally commit to take action to achieve that result. Getting them to emotionally commit to take action.
You have to say that whole thing one more time.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result. I'm doing this at his pace, future result.
Yeah, I'm slow.
No, it's fine. You fast. Getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result that's good for them. And getting them to emotionally commit to take action. Getting them to emotionally commit to take action to achieve that result. Getting them to emotionally commit to take action to achieve that result. So let's break down this definition of selling here. So what do you think are the most important parts of this definition? What are the most important words?
Emotionally commit.
Emotionally commit's important. What else?
Future result. Good result.
Results.
Take action.
Take action. Yeah, those are all good. Now there's one
Good for them.
good for them. Yeah, good for them changes everything about the intention and the purpose behind it, because you can get someone intellectually engaged in a future result and getting them to emotionally commit to take action that will destroy their life. You know, Hitler actually got people intellectually, emotionally engaged into what ended up in the deaths of millions of people. I could go on a whole frickin' riff about the pandemic and all the evil tyrants and all that. There's some people that are very bad humans that are doing a really great job of selling people that are destroying people's lives as we speak. I mean, they run tech companies, they run government, they are in charge of the medical system, some of them, and they're using selling, but the whole goal behind selling is if it's good for them, you're going to treat them differently. So if you have how many of you have ever had let's just say, it could be a man or a woman, but let's just pick for sake of this conversation, a woman that is going out with somebody that you feel, and you have evidence to know this to be true, that this person is probably not the best person for this person to be going out with. You ever had a friend, family member, anyone like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And have you somehow gotten yourselves involved in trying to persuade them in a way to maybe you should think about who you're dating here?
Uh-huh.
And they,
Not to.
yeah, okay, so but think about this. It depends on who the person is. It depends on how much depth of knowledge you have about this person. If you had dated this person before, and then a friend of yours, and this person lied to you or whatever, like, so how involved you get, and there's other times you're like, it's not my business, and really they have to learn on their own. And I do understand the whole context of, don't handicap your kids by making their life too easy. You don't want to save everybody from everything, because then they have no skills and capabilities. And frankly, if you've been on the planet long enough, you know that getting your heart ripped out of your chest, even though it sucks at the moment, sometimes is the best thing that allowed you to grow and go into a better place. And most people don't want to hear that when they're in the middle of like infatuation or whatever, right? So if you take that situation, and let's say it's not a dating situation, let's say they're going down a path that's just negative, and you know that if they get involved in this business or with this product or with this sort of thing, it could be dangerous, it could hurt them, and you're trying to help them, and you're involved in some way, even if you're not telling them what to do, you're just trying to get an understanding of where they're at. What would you do in a situation where, someone's going down a path and you want to persuade them, you want to sell them that this is not a good idea? What would you do in that situation?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't. I would ask questions.
You would ask questions, okay. Yeah, I'm looking for specifically what is the behavior. You would ask questions. What else would you do?
I would share like an experience I had to them that was similar.
Can someone write this down? Do you mind?
Yes.
Ask questions, share a similar experience. Okay, what else would you do? What could you do?
Give them space.
Give them space. Yeah.
Ask what they want out of the
Ask what they want.
relationship.
Yeah. What else would you do?
Honestly, I'd probably just tell them that I think they're making bad decisions.
Okay, no, this is good. No, I want to hear what you really would do, not what I want to hear. It's not what I want to hear, what the right thing is. It's what would you do? You tell them they're making a bad decision.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? What would,
Oh, the same thing, just telling them straight that that's the wrong person for you.
tell them straight, that's the wrong person for you. Yeah?
I would ask if they want my opinion.
Ask if they want your opinion.
Consent, baby. Yeah.
Consent, yep, okay, that's good.
I would point out what could possibly go wrong in that scenario.
Point out what could go wrong in that scenario. Isn't it great that's a bunch of women here that are talking to me? Who's the better salesperson here, right? Yeah. So, I mean, what do your kids do? When your kids, how many of you have kids? Yeah, I mean, they're great at selling, man. They'll use manipulation, they'll lie, I mean, they'll do all kinds of shit. So what would you guys say? What would you do in a situation where you have a friend that's going down a path and you want to help them not go down in that pothole?
Try to get them to look at the outcome.
Try to get them to look at the outcome. That's good.
Try to understand their point of view of what they're seeing.
Yeah, try to understand their point of view of what they're seeing. I wrote a whole book where I talk about that. It's called What's in it for them. That's my latest book.
I like metaphor, personally.
Metaphor. Okay, you use metaphors.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you guys?
I would ask them to share their experience.
Share their experience?
Like tell their stories and be in that moment. 'Cause I feel like if I'm seeing something.
Here, I'll give this guy.
If I'm seeing something that makes me go, oh, that's not right, it's something that I've seen them done or do or be in the moment, and they're maybe not seeing it.
Yeah.
But if they talk about it and I just let them talk, they might run into
Let
it.
them express. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're processing. You're being
Yeah,
present.
and I don't need to necessarily say anything, just be a mirror for them.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So be a mirror to them. Socratic selling is an incredible way to sell. You just simply ask questions and let them respond, right? Yeah. Now here's the thing though. If you get out of your head that you're just trying to do a technique on somebody, it isn't sincere. But if you really are engaged and connected with someone and you're listening to what they're saying, not listening to what they're saying in the hope that they're going to buy some shit from you, but you're listening to them in the hope that you can help your friend. See, so everything here so far, does anyone else have anything that comes to mind? What about you over here, sir?
I would just, I would try to ask the questions to help them see for themselves what the end result might be.
Okay, ask the question so they can see for themselves what the end result would be. So let me see if these are good.
Show caring.
Show caring. Yep, okay, so show caring. So now let me see, does this sound like these are good ways to actually sell? So you ask questions, you give space, you ask what they want, tell them about the bad decisions, wrong decision, ask for consent, what can go wrong, look at the outcome, consider their point of view, using metaphors, share the experience, be a mirror so they can see the end result. Yeah, so these are all things that if you're in a situation where you have someone that is in a situation you want to help them from, then you have to resource yourself. You have to, the very best parts of you have to present themselves to that person. So here's the funny thing. Like, if the best parts of you come out when you're in a situation of selling from a place of caring what's good for them, then is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good thing. How do you get these things to show up? By selling. So how often should you be selling?
Always.
All the time, right? Now, here's where it goes bad, though. When you have when you have someone that is trying to manipulate you, when you have someone that is trying to take advantage of you, if you have ever encountered a narcissist or dated a narcissist or interacted with one where they're gaslighting you and they're just lying through their teeth, that doesn't feel good. And so what happens is some people sell like that, and the word selling gets thrown in this box of manipulation and pressure and hurting. So think of selling as influence, and think of marketing as storytelling. And if you can be more influential, you're going to do a better job selling. If you can tell a better story, you can do marketing. Like my friend Robert Cialdini, he wrote the book Influence, and it's the top book on, I mean, he was the influencer before influencers was even a term. He wrote that book over 30 years ago. And, Nick has met him, and basically he wrote a book called Persuasion, which is before you get to the selling moment, it's what you do before the selling moment. And that's what marketing is. So if you can show up and position yourself in advance, then by the time you're selling someone, these people are pre-interested, pre-motivated, pre-qualified, and predisposed to do business with you, and that's what you want. You want people that are properly positioned. So the reason you're able to talk to some of your friends and you even have friendships is because of all the persuasion you've done, because of how you showed up. So my whole thing is, we all want something, but make sure that your give is equal to or greater than your want. And when you're trying to sell somebody something, don't try to sell them. Show up and just be valuable. And yeah, will you need to use language? Will you need to ask for the sale? Yes, because you can't be weak about it. You can't be like, well, I got something here and I just want you to make a decision. I mean, ultimately you need to ask, and you need to sell. But a lot of the selling has to do with how you present yourself and how you show up. And if someone knows that you really care about them, then you may need to use some takeaway selling, because here's I hate saying this, you just need to be aware of it. Whoever cares the least controls the relationship. Okay? And unless you have real rapport with someone where they care about you and you care about them. If you're in a love relationship and whoever cares the least controls the relationship, that relationship will suck. Because it'll be all about manipulation, it'll all be about playing games, and frankly, that's what happens oftentimes early on in a relationship, is no one knows the other person and everyone has a facade, and they're not wanting to get hurt. And so everyone's playing fucking games and all this shit. And unfortunately in the business world, there's a lot of game playing. And you can play games, you just don't need to cheat. You don't need to be unfair. You just need to deal with people at the level at which they respond. And some people, if they require, if they're unethical or whatever, don't do business with them. If they don't care about someone that's genuine, I don't want to work with them. I only want to align myself with people that are aligned with me. And I think if you approach it, but the key word is good for them. So if what you're selling is not good for somebody, and it may be good for someone, but not good for someone else, don't sell it to them. Because the karmic debt that you will pay for selling shit that is not good for people is too high, no matter how much profit you'll ever make from it. And anyway, I don't want to
know that very well.
Real quick, because we're going to have to go to lunch. Yeah. So, Joe, if you want to take a picture, get the Genius Network, post it somewhere, tag Genius Network. We're in Genius Network headquarters. It is, what, $50,000 to get you to come to something, generally?
Well, if I do a talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
current speaker rate, yeah.
And anytime we have an event and Joe is in town, he drops in, he gives tremendous value. So if you want to learn how to market and sell, Joe's a great person to study. His book, What's in It for Them, great. You just heard how he thinks about selling. But what I want to highlight is Joe's always giving, and one of the most important things to Joe, let me tell you this hat real quick. You see me wear it all the time. The reason is this art was done by Zachary Good. Zachary Good relapsed a couple years ago, and his family called me, and I texted Joe, and I said, hey, I got a really important member of our community. He needs help. And it took maybe an hour to get a list of resources, connections. They coordinated to move Zach here immediately. Unfortunately, he passed away that night. But that's why I wear the hat. That's why we donate everything to Genius Recovery, so that happens less often. He was an incredible artist, an incredible mind, a great friend. A lot of you met him. And so all I ask is that if that matters to you, if you have the time, if you got value out of this, Genius Recovery, QR code right there and right there. Just make a tiny donation. I will find something really fucking cool to do for you. I don't know what yet, but make a donation. And
Let's
then
give a copy of my book to anyone that makes a donation too.
and
Like,
copy of
so
Joe's book on top of it.
Right up here.
All right, so thank you guys, and thank you, Joe.
That's okay.
Oh, it's the German one up there?
I know you got the.
No, it's in,
Yeah.
it's in Hungary, it's in Chinese now. They're translating a bunch of.
$500